In the modern world, the pursuit of perfection has become an unavoidable standard, simultaneously fueling dissatisfaction, exhaustion, depression, and anxiety. We have set unrealistic standards and tried rigorously to achieve an unattainable ideal. Advertisements depict images of handsome individuals enjoying their favorite drinks and dancing among fashion models with ever-bright smiles. The harsh images of perfect happiness constantly remind us, your life must be like this. So, we strive to emulate the perfection of that ideal lifestyle. We spare no expense to transform ourselves, our lives, and the environment around us, then flood social media with images and videos to show the world our amazing lives. We feel compelled to achieve perfection: a flawless face, an ideal body, perfect hair, skin, jawline, a perfect home, friends, family, partner, children, perfect vacations. In short, a flawless life. But this pursuit is not only unattainable and exhausting, but also entirely contrary to the Japanese philosophy of Wabi-Sabi, which values the beauty of imperfection and incompleteness. Wabi-Sabi rejects the pursuit of perfection and embraces the reality of imperfection. This philosophy can help us break free from the cycle of seeking an ideal life, teaching us to appreciate life as it is, entirely imperfect. In the 15th century, Japanese aristocrats often showcased their wealth by enjoying tea in exquisite Chinese porcelain cups, especially on moonlit nights. However, Zen master Murata Shuko sought to transform the tea ceremony from a celebration of extravagance into a more refined ritual, using simple utensils produced in Japan. Shuko's disciples continued to innovate the tea ceremony, simplifying the rituals and implements, incorporating natural elements, and embracing the transient nature of life. For example, instead of ornate and expensive porcelain cups, they used simple rustic cups with a touch of imperfection. Rather than enjoying tea under the bright light of a full moon, they chose moments of the waning or obscured moon. The tea ceremony became a celebration of simplicity, impermanence, and imperfection, serving as a prominent historical testament to the philosophy of Wabi-Sabi. At its core, Wabi-Sabi is deeply rooted in Buddhist principles, particularly the three marks of existence: impermanence, suffering, and non-self. The definition of wabi-sabi cannot be captured clearly because the meanings of wabi and sabi have evolved over time. Presently, wabi is often understood as simplicity, rusticity, rawness, and imperfection, akin to what we find in nature. Sabi is used to refer to things that have been affected by time, showing signs of decay or loss. Although there is a philosophy behind it, Wabi-Sabi itself is not that philosophy. Perhaps we can describe it as an experience, a profound encounter with the transient, imperfect nature of existence. Pursuing perfection is like chasing an unattainable dream. We still pursue a concept of perfection, an ideal state that we never truly achieve. Some see perfection as a relative concept because their standards of perfection may be quite low compared to others. But the issue here is, what one person sees as perfect may be considered imperfect by another. And if so, there is nothing inherently wrong in finding fault if everything is just right like that. Plato argued that perfection cannot exist outside the realm of consciousness. He posited that ideals can only exist within our minds, while outside lies only faint and blurred imitations. Furthermore, the ultimate nature and inevitability of decay of any near-perfect creation confront us. They will ultimately succumb to dissolution. A partner who appears almost perfect? They will eventually fade into the ravages of time. A near-perfect body? It will quickly be destroyed. When we strive to perfect something, it becomes rigid and more fragile, like a small rock dropped into calm water, shattering the serene picture entirely. As Lao Tzu said, "The incomplete is easy to preserve than the complete. The sharper the knife, the quicker it dulls. The more possessions you own, the harder it is to protect them." As a final quote, if you keep your living room space always clean, just a bit of dust is enough to take away the perfection. If you strive to live a near-perfect life, Just a bit of cleverness is enough to throw you off balance. So, the pursuit of perfection seems like a foolish choice. The pursuit of perfection is an unattainable goal, as we can only achieve a second-best level at best, and often it is difficult and unsustainable. Therefore, this often leads to exhaustion, frustration, and anxiety, making us feel insecure and inadequate. We often impose endless pressure on ourselves, always feeling that we are not enough and fearing losing what we have achieved in the pursuit of perfection. We can liken life to keeping water in a tranquil and clean pond, although in reality we cannot prevent the impact of weather or other natural fluctuations. Humans cannot be as serene as water in a pond, and we will never be so. Most of us are like murky ponds, facing the unpredictable changes of life, storms, and inevitable challenges. In this imperfect and transient world, we can make an impact on the rest of the world. Imperfection, rather than perfection, is a natural part of life. However, from the perspective of Wabi-Sabi, it is not a tragedy. On the contrary, it is the beauty of imperfection. Accepting imperfection does not mean rejecting self-improvement. Self-improvement is a wise journey, as long as it is pursued thoughtfully and not seen as the ultimate goal. This also doesn't mean we should make everything messy. For example, drug addiction isn't a state of complete imperfection. Instead, it's a result of an inability to accept imperfection and pain in life, as well as a desperate attempt to remove all painful elements from one's emotional state. It could be said that drug addicts seek to experience perfection, a state of mind free from pain. However, it is the resistance to the darker aspects of life that prevents us from experiencing wabi-sabi. In Buddhist terms, this resistance leads to dissatisfaction, or dukkha, as we reject the reality that life is inherently flawed and that nothing we cling to remains unchanged. So, the desire for perfection is a form of clinging. We attach ourselves to an idea or a grand vision of how everything should be, and attachment is the root of suffering. Only when these illusions of perfection dissolve can we free ourselves from their torment. Existence has no specific standards. No rock, blade of grass, or mountain has to meet specific requirements. Nature brings forth these expressions into the world before they wither and disappear. Wabi-Sabi is not about observing them in their imperfect and transient state, but experiencing how everything unfolds. Dogen, the founder of the Soto Zen school, said, "One must deeply understand the impermanence of the world. Aging, asymmetry, twists and turns, decay, fragmentation, brutality. Embrace them as natural parts, and you will begin to see the beauty within." Marcus Aurelius described his wabi-sabi moment as follows: "We should remember that even the inadvertence of nature has its own charm, its own allure. The bread loaves separated on top in the oven, with the ridges being the result of the baking process, but they bring about a peculiar comfort. They stimulate our senses without clear reason why. Or looking at a ripe mango starting to split open, one cannot help but marvel at how it unfolds. And the nearly ripe olives, the sheen of decay on them making them uniquely beautiful. All living things must undergo the process of aging. Everything created must endure decay. This is an inseparable part of nature." One might sarcastically ask, is there anything more perfect than the imperfect development of nature? In the book, Wabi-Sabi, Japanese Wisdom for a Perfectly Imperfect Life, author Beth Kempton explores the history and philosophy of Wabi-Sabi, while also proposing practical solutions to break free from the obsession with seeking perfection and embracing imperfection. One of the solutions that Wabi-Sabi proposes is to set up our living environment in a completely imperfect way. For example, while Wabi-Sabi honors simplicity, it is not like typical minimalist styles that often emphasize symmetry, tidiness, and the use of expensive furniture. The minimalist style of Wabi-Sabi is reflected in asymmetry, unclutteredness, and not replacing an old bench with a specially designed sofa simply because it looks better. Instead of focusing on owning many things, we should reconsider the possessions we have, Eliminate the unnecessary ones and cherish what remains. We should only buy new items when we truly need them. As a result, we will have an imperfect living space, perhaps with broken items, mismatched chairs, cracks on the walls, and sets of dishes found at antique stores. This reflects the beauty of imperfection in a delightful way. To enhance the experience of wabi-sabi, we can bring nature into our living space. Using pine cones or pieces of wood from the forest, as well as shells from the beach as decorations, helps create a natural, imperfect, yet beautiful space. Beth Kempton also shares with us a different perspective on ourselves and those around us, not looking through the lens of relentless perfection, but by appreciating imperfections, the things that make us unique and valuable. We are not perfect and shouldn't strive to be, and our goal isn't perfection either. Instead, the most important thing is to accept ourselves for who we truly are and enjoy every aspect of life. In simple terms, wabi-sabi allows you to be yourself freely. It encourages you to give your best effort, but not to the point of stressing yourself out in pursuit of an unattainable perfect goal. It gently nudges us into a state of relaxation, living slowly, and cherishing life. It opens the door for us to realize that beauty can exist in the most unexpected places, turning each day into a journey of joy. Ending the quote. One way to practice living slowly is called forest bathing, where we walk slowly in the forest. Instead of focusing on the goal from point A to point B, we concentrate on the beauty of nature and open our hearts to its healing potential. Spending time in nature has been proven to be a remedy for reducing stress, anxiety, and pressure. It helps us break away from the industrialized society, filled with impositions and expectations, while creating a deep connection with the grandeur of the universe, welcoming us with open arms. Nature exists with its perfect imperfection, operating without judgment, haste, or striving further. Within nature, there is nothing perfectly beautiful, only unevenness, complexity, and decay. Nature creates and nature destroys. Everything flows, and nothing is eternal. But if we happen to recognize the hidden beauty within all these changes, then that is the true experience of wabi-sabi.